Adrian, of course, will be here, and I mean, I've spoken to Adrian quite a lot, of course, over our time together in the team. But he was like, the kind of like mentor, kind of, like you could discuss a lot of things with him, and he had a lot of experience, from back in the day already. So yeah, for sure, it's not nice seeing him leave.
Hello and welcome to The Fast and the Curious. My name is Christian Hugill. I'm lucky enough to have presented this podcast in some pretty cool locations. This one is right up there. Welcome to downtown Miami. Now, we are about 45 minutes away from the Hard Rock Stadium, where the F1 track is. This is a bit further south than Miami. It's the beach area. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see lots of yachts behind me. You'll see a big boat called Island Queen, which is coincidentally my nickname while I'm here, by the way. You'll see the Miami skyscrapers. There's the mojito bar. There's palm trees. There's lots of lizards running around at my feet as well, which is interesting. But it's a really cool place to be, and people keep trying to tempt us into bars for drinks, which I might well do later. But before I go for a drink, there's plenty we need to get our teeth into. Coming up on this week's The Fast and the Curious, we will hear from home hero Logan Sargeant on what is his second ever proper home Grand Prix, because he's from Fort Lauderdale, which is just outside Miami, really, just outside the centre part of Miami, north of about an hour from here. So we're looking forward to speaking to Logan. Another guest we've got, and this isn't a bad guest, is Max Verstappen. The world champion, Max Verstappen, will be on this podcast coming up. But before we do that, we're going to throw back to the studio for an interview that we recorded before I came out here with me and Betty, and we're speaking to another home hero, Leah Block. Absolutely love Leah Block. She's a huge personality. She's about to take her place in her second ever F1 Academy race. Now, she was on the podcast earlier in the season, well, before the season started, really, at Williams. She's Williams F1 Academy representative, and we're very excited to catch up with her to see how she's enjoying it now the season's got underway. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, apologies, you won't see Leah's camera due to a slight technical hitch, but you know I like to do this. Let's hand over to me and Betty in the studio.
Wow, so you've done that thing again. You're talking to yourself again, Christian.
Greg said he wanted more of it. Greg specifically said it was his favourite thing he'd done. He's the team principal, the favourite thing we've done on the podcast, and here we are.
Well, I'm glad you're having a lovely time in Miami.
Christian,
I'm glad
for now, thank you.
I don't ever want to see this again, but it is quite funny.
I think it's at least every fortnight on the podcast now.
Oh, great. Good. Well, we'll look forward to that.
I'm going to start putting myself in different locations just for the sake of it.
Well, it is very exciting that you are in Miami, not just for the Formula One Grand Prix weekend and the F1 sprint race, but there's also something else going on, isn't there?
F1 Academy.
Yeah, so it's the second weekend of the F1 Academy season. The all-female series started in Jeddah in March. And to give us a little bit of a preview, a bit of a taste for what we can expect, we've got Leah Block back on The Fast and the Curious. She's Williams driver racing for ART. So let's find out how she's feeling.
Leah, hello. Welcome back to The Fast and the Curious.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, it's our pleasure, Leah. And Leah, last time you were on the podcast, I was flying solo. I came to see you at the lovely Williams factory. So Leah, meet Betty. Betty, meet Leah.
Hello, Leah. How are you doing? What have you been up to today? Because you're in Paris, aren't you?
Yep. We're here prepping for Miami in the sim, so all the fun things.
What's it like, a day of prepping for, like, when you're spending a day in the sim? That must be so tiring.
Yeah. You're just sitting in a dark room, staring at a big screen, you know? You get out and you're like a zombie, like, or a vampire, like, oh my gosh, the sun, you know? But yeah.
Zombie.
The sun, it's light outside.
Leah, we'll talk a bit about, you've just mentioned Miami Prep, and we'll talk a little bit about Miami Prep in a moment, but I wanted to take you back to your first F1 Academy race, because the last time you and I spoke, we were talking about how exciting it would be to be on the formation route, rolling round to the grids when the lights go out. How was your first experience in Jeddah of doing an F1 Academy race?
Honestly, overall, it was really, really cool and more exciting than I ever thought it was going to be. You know, just getting to race on an F1 track, on an F1 weekend, being able to go into the paddock for the first time, you know, go through its turnstiles and use my pass.
It is fun, isn't it? It makes a noise.
Yeah, it makes noise, pulls up your picture. I'm like, whoa, I'm allowed to be here.
I get that entire. I thought exactly the same. I liked that it showed my picture and go, doo, doo, doo.
No, I didn't like it because my picture was horrible at Silverstone. I was like, oh God, get that off. Don't show anyone that.
Leah, what was the racing like? Because we also spoke about, you know, you've got probably a different motorsport background to most of these guys in the field because you've obviously raced different categories to them. What was the racing like? What was getting to grips with the cars like? How did you find the Jeddah track? What was it like on track?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, these cars are so different from anything I've ever driven, and having only 3 months in the car, which was, we roughly estimated only 20 days till Jeddah. So very little time to prepare and a very little time frame. So it was quite surreal to actually get on the track, and like after all of this preparation, I still didn't feel prepared, but I was ready to do it. And, you know, just going from the test and then to the race weekend was a very big change, you know. But if I could do that weekend all over again, I would 100% would, because there were so many things I would change, you know.
That must have been such a massive learning experience for you. How would you say you're sort of getting on now?
Yeah, it was a really, really big learning curve. And, you know, I would say now I'm more comfortable and I'm slowly gaining more experience, and hopefully at Miami get some points. And it's about confidence and seat time, and that's something that I have very little of. So hopefully every race, every test, every time I get in the car, I'm going to gain a little bit more and hopefully go a little bit faster.
Now, we frequently have Williams man Logan Sargeant on the podcast. Obviously, we talk a lot about Miami being Logan's home race. Not just a home race for Logan, though, is it?
No.
Leah, also a home race for you. What's that like? Only your second race in F1 Academy, and you're going to be going home. How excited are you about that?
I'm really excited. I'm just like excited not to have jet lag.
Yeah, that'll be nice, won't it? That's a
So
good
nice.
advantage, yeah.
Great advantage. I mean, from where I come in Utah, it's definitely not as hot. So Miami is a big change with the weather for sure, but it's going to be really, really cool, even though, I mean, from where I live, it's complete other side of the country, but to feel at home at a racetrack is really nice, and it's a really big confidence booster when there's a lot of people cheering you on.
That must be quite a nice, comforting feeling, like you said, but does it also add like an extra layer of pressure because you're like, well, these are all my people. I need to perform.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with it being only the second F1 Academy race, and I'm still not completely up to speed, it's a little nerve-wracking for me just to be like, oh, there's a lot of people I know who are watching me, and I just don't want to do bad. But I think it's just, you know, got to keep reminding myself I don't have as much experience as the girls around me, so I can just only do as well as I can to my best ability.
Just on that, you spoke a lot about how it's, you know, you've got to build up confidence, and part of that is just getting as much experience as possible. Mentally, that must be quite hard. How do you do sort of, I don't know, mental exercises in order to cope with feeling confident in the car, even though you might not necessarily be feeling that confident?
Yeah, honestly, it's a bit hard, just mental side, because coming from rally, winning the US championship, being at the top of the field, and then coming down to the bottom of the bottom in open wheel racing is also very, very hard. But I think it's just something you have to get over, you know. I've done it before, and it's just about doing it in a different area of motorsport.
Also, last time we spoke, Leah, you mentioned you hadn't met Logan or Alex yet. Have you managed to do so? And bear in mind that we've got Williams press officers on the call and you're wearing a Williams racing shirt. What did you think of them?
Yeah, I met them a short bit after. They're both very nice. To have another American and like just hear Logan's voice, sometimes I'm like, where am I? You know, I'm like, oh wait, you're kind of like me. But yeah, both of them are really, really nice, and it's awesome to hang out with them. So I think me and Logan are going to do some fun Miami things for our home race.
Oh, like what, Leah?
Remember how we talked about the burger thing the last time we were on the podcast? We need to plan something like that.
That man loves a burger. I'm intrigued as to how Alex Albon's sense of humour translates to an American, because Alex has got a very dry, very British sense of humour. Frankly, Alex, by the way, one of my favourite people in the Formula One paddock, but he's a bit mad, like in the best possible way. Has he ever left you complete? Has he ever gone on a rant about the roundabout system in Milton Keynes or his many pets and just left you a bit baffled? Because he loves a tangent and he loves a slightly dry sense of humour.
No, I think every time I'm around him, I'm just in tears from laughing because he just says some of the most out-of-pocket things, But I love it, and I think it's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, he is so funny. You have been obviously getting to know all of the other drivers in the F1 Academy, and particularly your team, ART. What are they like, and how are you sort of getting on with them all?
Yeah, I mean, not much time to get to know the rest of the field, but been able to hang out with my teammates Ariella and Bianca, just being at ART during some days and during testing in the garage. They're both very nice, and it's to have teammates is definitely a change for me because in rally, I've never really had teammates in the same class or anything in rallycross as well. But it's quite nice to have someone to talk with and in the same team and share data with, stuff like that. But I don't usually like to make too many friends, especially in a competitive sense, but just to be friendly with everyone is nice as well.
Oh, I'm just so fascinated by this sport and the fact that you are working against people that you were also in a team with. So, you're sort of like enemies within a little team setting.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all very competitive or we wouldn't be where we are now. So I think just even in the sim days, she's a 10th faster here. Shoot. Who's going to end up on top out of the sim day, like it's definitely competitive with us three, but I think it's important, they are teammates, but they're also your competition on track. So creating that balance of how friendly you are with each other is also important.
Leah, I feel like I'm just asking you things following on from the last time we spoke, but I've not spoke to you since, so I've got a big list of things I want to talk to you about. You just come from speaking to James Vowles, because you spoke to James Vowles, then immediately spoke to me, which was an almighty step down for you, which I apologise for. But you did say you were going to start dropping into conversation, speaking of seat time, wanting to go in an F1 car. Have you managed to get any more subtle, it'd be lovely to obviously, get a little couple of laps in an F1 car.
Well, I already did it.
I
got it. Goodwood this year. I don't honestly know how it came up. I think someone told me about, you might be doing Goodwood this year. And I was like, huh? What? But yeah, and then someone told me, hey, do you want to drive the F1 car at Goodwood? I was like, is that even a question?
So this is on the way, Leah. This is not happened yet.
No, not yet.
It's going to be at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, right? Which is weekend after Silverstone. Am I right, Leah?
Yes. I'm so excited. I'm so nervous, though.
No, you'll be ace. You'll be incredible.
You'll be fantastic. And there's lots more hay at Goodwood than there is on regular motor racing circuits.
Yeah.
You won't be seeing hay in Miami. Goodwood circuit's lined with hay. There's none of that on the Miami track. And that's some free advice for you there going into the weekend, Leah.
Thank you. That's really, really good insight, actually.
Just before we let you go, back into that dark room of the sim where you can't see any light for another 24 hours or whatever it is.
Back to a dark room in Paris.
Back to a dark room in Paris.
Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sound a little bit weird. I hear you've been driving rally cars and snow plows. Is that right?
Tractors and yeah.
Tractors. Is James Vowles okay with this? Does he know?
I didn't really ask. My motto is kind of like, just do it and then ask for forgiveness kind of thing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That's the motto in life, I think.
Yeah, no, we have a ranch out in Utah that we have a off-road track for our Can-Ams. So we use our Kubota tractors and go out there and prep it during the winter. So you have like these big walls of just snow and you're driving through it. Looks really cool.
And then if they need any help shifting the hay at Goodwood, Leah, you're all over it.
I got them, I know how to drive a tractor. Why wouldn't I know how to drive a tractor? Come on.
Of course, naturally. Sorry, going back to Goodwood, I'm being quite scattergun. You said it was an old Williams. Do we know which Williams?
Yeah, so it's the FW08.
Let's geek this. I know you've got to go in a minute, but I'm just going to...
Granddad's just getting on his iPad to try and get onto Google.
All right.
Work the thing.
Give him 3 to 5 working days.
Oh, lovely.
Let's see. God.
So it's a proper old... The FW08, so we're talking... Yeah, proper old school.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
Oh, this is fantastic, Leah. I'm incredibly jealous.
Well, have the most Amazing time. You're going to have to come back on after Goodwood so we can actually find out how it felt and what it was like and how much you enjoyed it. But thank you so much for joining us
Look
on
at
the
how
Fast
big the
and
rear
Curious.
tyres are. Look,
yes,
isn't that
thank you,
fantastic?
Christian. Good luck in Miami as well, Leah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Leah, loved having you on. Go well in Miami.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to Leah and actually the F1 Academy back in action in Miami.
I really liked watching the first race of the season, having it throughout the Saudi Grand Prix weekend. It was a lovely extra thing to have. It was great. The racing was good fun. And also, Leah's just a great personality and so much fun to talk to. And by the way, I was so impressed with the way she adapted from her sort of off-road background in the first race. The way she was on the F1 Academy scene and immediately up to speed with everyone else, considering she was racing against people who've been sort of doing tarmac / single-seater racing all their career. It was really impressive. And she said just then, was like, oh, well, there's loads of things I'd have done differently. Well, it shows you how, we say this with Oscar all the time, don't we? How hard these racing drivers push themselves, because actually she was really impressive that weekend. So yeah, I'm buzzing for her. She's a talent.
What can we expect from Miami then? Are we excited for a good race?
The Miami Grand Prix is a spectacle. It's amazing. They do such a brilliant job of putting it on around the Hard Rock Stadium. It's an amazing event. The first 2 years of the race, this is the third, haven't translated into a thrilling Grand Prix. They've struggled to nail down the surface, and last year they resurfaced the track in the hope that would help. The track was so dusty because they've resurfaced it. When I was pit lane reporting at the Miami Grand Prix last year for the BBC and came out of the pits covered in sweat, sun cream and a layer of dust. It was like the dirtiest I'd ever been. It was unreal. Our friend Bex, who looks after us at Williams on the podcast, saw me sunburnt, covered in sweat, and went, I'm going to get you a hat. Like, they were actually concerned about me.
Oh, Mummy Bex.
Lovely Bex. Yeah, she was looking after me. I went, it's that hat, that blue hat behind you.
Oh,
That
I
was
like that hat as
Bex.
well, actually.
Bex gave me that hat because she thought I was in a state in Miami. I'm going to get you a hat.
Well, it doesn't
I only got
smell.
worn that once. Then it's been going, don't knock off another Williams. Careful of the shelf. So let's see how the track surface will be, and let's see if that's any more consistent that encourages overtaking, because the drivers we're finding it tricky to get used to the surface. It's not the widest of circuits. We've come from China, which is a big, wide circuit with lots of overtaking opportunities. Miami's harder to overtake, with it being a sort of street track. It's more of a car park track, but it's a sort of street track. So I'm intrigued as to whether it provides us with a better Grand Prix, because being realistic, the first two haven't been thrillers. We've loved the event, but the races haven't been thrillers. And it's a sprint race.
And we love a sprint race.
We do love a sprint race. It's not one I'd have chosen for a sprint race necessarily, for the reasons I've just said before. Now, that could, if we still get an unpredictable surface, give us a thrilling sprint race. I'm just a bit worried that if it's tricky for the drivers to overtake, we won't see too much movement in the sprint race. But I'm really interested. It will be. I think we'll get an interesting weekend nonetheless.
I hope so. Now, before we throw back to Christian in Miami, I think it's a good time to remind everyone that NordVPN can be an absolute game changer for anybody that loves Formula One. We've been sponsored by NordVPN for a while now, so you should know the drill.
Yeah, and you can consider my virtual location changed. Even though I'm in Miami, all my devices will still think I'm in the UK. And I'll be able to log into all my streaming sites and never miss a moment of action while I'm running around the track. And that comes into particular good use when you're about to leave Miami and you've got an 11-hour plane journey to fill and you need more stuff. NordVPN comes into its majestic own.
Oh, it does. I can imagine. But also, have you done our favourite little NordVPN trick where you change your location and you can get, good travel deals?
No, I could have saved a fortune, and I need to get that into my head to remember to do that next time I go to a race.
Yeah, you need to, because like we've said before, some flights and hotel fees can actually change when you change location. So sorting out all of your logistics can help you save a few pennies as well.
Go all Martin Lewis on us and save some money.
Are you going to nag me about getting some merch, or we're just going to move over that?
I genuinely think NordVPN is a brilliant thing, and we talk about it on the podcast a lot. I still am disappointed in them for not providing me with any NordVPN merch to wear around the Hard Rock Stadium. I'd have loved to have rocked a NordVPN t-shirt in the streets of Miami. I'm just a bit disappointed in for that. It genuinely is a brilliant product, and I'm not just saying this because they're sponsoring the podcast. It's so handy. I'm just disappointed in the lack of merch.
Yeah, I mean, NordVPN, if you're listening to this, there we go.
Don't let that put you off.
Get him his hat.
Still download it. It's a really good thing, but just know you won't get a hat. And saddens me really.
I think normal people probably won't care that much about that. But
why'd you say normal people?
Because you're not normal.
Right, cheers.
Anyway,
cheers.
To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/TFATC. Our link will also give you an extra 4 months on the 2-year plan. And there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the description of this exact episode.
Yeah, that's in the description, but a hat isn't. Anyway, well, that is it from us in the studio. So, Betty, you know what? The only thing left to do is, don't you?
What's that then?
Hand back to me, Christian Hugill in Miami. Christian, take it away. Lovely to speak to Leah Block. Awesome. Thank you, Leah. Very much appreciate you coming back on the podcast. Now, welcome back to Miami, where behind me, we've my view, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll have noticed has been slightly, hindered by some pirates. Are they real pirates down there, do we think? There are pirates getting off a boat called El Loro, and they've been for a look around Miami, I guess. Hello, El Loro. Hello. You're on a podcast. They're waving. Hello. They look incredibly bemused. What? Pardon? You want to go for it? I'll come on later. Thank you. A man asked me if I want to come on. They're probably slightly confused as to why a strange British man is shouting at them recording a podcast, but still. Anyway, nice of El Loro to join us here in Miami, and also joining us is Logan Sargeant. That's on the way. You'll hear from Logan. But first, we're going to catch up with the world champion, Max Verstappen. I'm so excited to get Max back on the pod. It's his second ever episode. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, you might get the delights of El Loro, but unfortunately you won't be able to see Max. F1 broadcasters pay literally millions and millions of pounds to be able to film in the F1 paddock. We're not there yet, so it's an audio-only treat for us. But let's welcome back to the Fast and the Curious here in Miami, Mr. Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen, welcome back to the Fast and the Curious.
Yeah, thank you.
It's lovely to have you back on. Last time you were on this podcast, you amused our listeners greatly by taking the mickey out of me for, in my Zoom background, having a Mercedes t-shirt visible. Even there was a signed Max Verstappen cap visible, so I made sure that there's no other branding from another team here this time. I hope you appreciate the effort we've gone to.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you did come in with a Pepsi, but that's okay.
Oh no, I've made another rookie error. Yeah, I've just rushed over from having lunch. Sorry. You've got a Red Bull on the go, which you've just grabbed an actual Red Bull from the fridge. How much do you go through?
Well, to be honest with you, when I'm at home, not so much, but like days like today, because you're walking around quite a bit. I don't mind like having 3 of them, maybe.
3 of them. I would be bouncing off the walls. Whenever I visit your guys' base in Milton Keynes, you guys look after us so well with really nice coffee and fridges of them everywhere. I come away physically shaking. Have you become accustomed to it over the years?
I guess so. I mean, I already, like before I even signed to Red Bull, I used to have like 1 or 2 here and there, whenever, or traveling with my dad in the van, when you had like long nights to cover. But then, of course, once you sign with them, it's for free, so you can take as much as you want, really.
Is that the best thing about being a Formula 1 driver? Free Red Bull.
It helps.
It helps.
Yeah.
My first question about on-track stuff was going to be, like, we've got people who are newer to Formula 1 who listen to this podcast, and I find myself as the resident F1 geek having to explain how impressive what you're doing is, and people don't take it for granted. And every time there's an opportunity for mistakes, they just don't tend to happen. Safety car restarts, changeable conditions, you seem to be invincible. How do you keep concentration? How do you make sure that these mistakes just don't happen? I think that's almost the bit that fascinates me most.
Yeah, well, I mean, mistakes do happen, and no one is a robot. But I keep trying, of course, not to, keep reminding myself, like, try not to make these mistakes. And of course, I've made mistakes in my career in Formula 1. But I think with more and more experience as well, you probably are a little bit more in control.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You said to me when you won your first world title that you weren't necessarily fussed about chasing records, about going for 7, 8, 9. Has that changed at all with all the speculation about the future of the sport and people moving around? Do you still see yourself part of this sport long term? Now you've won 1, 2, 3. Do you want to go for more?
I mean, I don't know what long term means for you. Well, how many years is that?
I don't know.
10 years?
I know you've said you're not going to be around as long as Fernando is.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, do you see yourself in F1 in 10 years?
No.
That's interesting.
No.
Why do you think you'll do it for less time than people we see? Nico Hülkenberg, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso. What is it that
I
thinks
just
you...
want to also do other things in life. I've basically been living off a fixed schedule since I was like 12, I would say, like fully internationally. And you knew exactly how your year more or less was going to look like, where you were going to be every single week or not. I do love racing a lot. I do love Formula One, but I do think that at one point for me it's enough, and that then comes also back to like I don't need to win 8 titles. Like I'm already really happy with what I have done so far, which is something that I never thought was possible anyway in the first place. So I exceeded that by far. I just want a bit more peace, a bit more quiet at one point. Just spend more time with my friends and family, and not when I'm 50. A bit more in my prime when I'm still able to do all the fun things and live life. Because we're only here once. That's what I believe.
Me too.
And I don't want to spend at least half of that racing cars 24 times a year. So
you mentioned the schedule. Those long flights must get you. What do you watch films on them? Do you listen to music?
Yeah, I mean, for sure that helps. Wi-Fi in the planes nowadays,
that helps, doesn't it?
That helps me a lot as well, because I'm of course not only busy with Formula One. My hobby, of course, is also sim racing, and being fully involved with that. Being on top of things, trying to get the best out of the drivers, and it's a full-time effort, really.
Yeah. Do you watch much film and TV?
I don't. Well, I only watch like sports on the TV.
So you're not a big like fiction film fan or anything like that?
I mean, I watch movies here and there for sure, but I don't watch like the regular TV. It's just like either sports or like movies or series.
I can't not ask you about the stuff going on around F1 at the moment, as obviously with Adrian's announcement happening this weekend. How do you see that affecting you? Have you had a chance to speak to Adrian at all?
No, I mean, Adrian, of course, will be here, and I mean, I've spoken to Adrian quite a lot, of course, over our time together in the team. But he's been a legend of the sport. I think he was already incredible before he even got to Red Bull. So of course, then starting a new challenge with Red Bull and what he has achieved is of course incredible. I do think that over the years, of course, his role has changed a little bit within the team.
It's not all going to be on one man.
Exactly, but. He was like the kind of like mentor, kind of like you could discuss a lot of things with him, and he had a lot of experience from back in the day already. For sure it's not nice seeing him leave, but I also told him, like, at the end of the day you have to do what you think is best for yourself and your family, right? Like we're not going to tell you that you have to stay if you don't want to stay.
No, sure.
So live your life. If you think you have to go.
Yeah, sure.
That's how I see it also with other people, not only Adrian. If people don't want to be here or they want a different challenge, go for it. Whatever makes you happy, that's what you should do.
That's nice. It doesn't change your feeling about the team at all.
No, and also not my feeling towards Adrian, because I have a great relationship with him, and I will always have a great relationship with him whenever I will see him, if that's back in the paddock here or whatever he's going to do. Nothing really changes, and at the same time I also really trust the technical team that we have.
Yeah, sure. Stories like that create so much gossip around the sport. I have to be honest, it's one of the reasons I love the sport. Even when I was growing up watching it, you had people like Ron Dennis and chatting away. I've always quite enjoyed it. As a driver, how much of the sort of politics, the drama, the gossip do you consume? It fascinates me because not many sports have as much gossip as this one does.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is different in that. I think I'm pretty relaxed. I know what I want, and that's of course the fastest car, the fastest team. That's where I am at the moment. Of course, it's very important always, to have a good environment, which I think we have at the moment. But with the gossip, like I have no time for it. Also, like when I'm at home, I don't want to know anything about Formula One.
unless switch off.
Unless it's related to my team. That's what I discuss. But I really also value my private time. So I prefer not to see anything. Like I don't really follow a lot of F1 related things. It's more like football, MotoGP, just things that interest me.
And I've heard of sports people in the past having like secret Instagram and TikTok accounts and things like that. It doesn't strike me you'd be anywhere near that.
No, I prefer then not to, look at it and make up. Like I don't like to be involved with, making up the stories and stuff.
Very quickly before you go, because you're a busy man, we asked our listeners for their favourite Max Verstappen memes. I don't know how many you see of these on social media. I'm guessing not many. I really enjoy this one. This is F1 rookies. Finally in F1, can't wait to get my first win. And it's just you holding a flag in front of them. Do you ever see any of these? There's another one, point of view. Google Maps says you 10 minutes to get there and you get there in 9 and it's your face. These must be fun to see occasionally. How often do you see these?
I mean, some of my my friends, they sometimes send me like links or whatever.
That one as well. Max, apparently you explain things to Charles a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to explain with my hands. When people ask me stuff. Yeah.
What you're doing is truly special. It's so special to watch, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are watching it. So thanks for taking the time, Max, and obviously go well this weekend.
Thank you.
Always fascinating to hear from Max Verstappen. What an absolute legend of Formula One, and in good form too. Thank you very much to Max and to Team Red Bull for letting him come on the podcast, and we are not done yet. One more driver to talk to, and we couldn't stop off in Miami, could we, without talking to one of our absolute favourites on the podcast, Logan Sargeant, who last time he was on was talking to Betty in the US. We like dropping into Logan when we're in the US. Again, not allowed to film this. We popped out to a different location from the paddock to speak to Logan, but unfortunately still not allowed to turn our cameras on. But we of course want to check in with one of our favourite co-hosts. Will there be more burger chats? Will there be any more James Vowles chat? Let's find out. This is Logan Sargeant on The Fast and the Curious.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me. I think it's been a while, but
the last time was Betty in
New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was me, Alex, and Betty.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. That was
Alex was saying some weird stuff
about your team principal.
Did he? I don't even remember that part.
Alex speculated as to what underwear your team principal wears.
Okay, there you go.
And it's a peak Alex Albon thing, isn't it? Like only Alex Albon could come up with that.
He's always going off on a...
Loves the tangents.
Yeah, he does.
Loves the tangent. But what we like is that we seem to have to come to you, which is fantastic. As someone that loves visiting the US, I'd quite like this to carry on, that every time you're on the podcast we come to you. That works very well for me and Betty. We like it a lot. We really. We've just we're at a sort of fan thing, and we've just walked in on you signing a load of hats. Question one of the interview: how many hats do you reckon you must sign a year? Did anyone tell you how many that would be when you started being an F1 driver?
A year probably has to be more than 1,000.
Wow.
Right? Probably. And then driver cards. Oh my goodness. Don't even get me started on driver cards.
I bet you're really good at your signature.
It actually gets worse.
It just becomes as incomprehensible
it's like
squiggle.
You do it so much that, like, I hate to say it, but it just starts to become like, less attention to detail. You just kind of get it on
with
there.
1,000, well, they would. That's understandable.
What I mean?
Yeah, that's
so,
more than understandable.
It's like golf. You do it too much and you start to go the wrong way.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
you can over-practice.
Exactly.
Like over-driving. Yeah, I get you. And you just got given a gift from a fan, which was a plate, I believe.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty cool. It was a plate with my number, my name on it.
A homemade plate. It looked like he'd made it.
Yeah, he did. And some home snacks, some U.S. snacks to bring back to London.
What were the ones in particular that you really liked?
The Ritz peanut butter crackers are...
They're good?
Yeah.
They knew that?
Yeah, I know. It's done their homework.
How is that people know that much about you that they know your favourite snack?
It's cool. Of course, I never expect anything. It's more, I hope I can give back, to them more so. But anything like that obviously is super thoughtful, and I feel like it's been more this week than others, so I guess you can kind of expect that being at home, but it's nice.
Last year, I spoke to you when we were in Miami, and we were chatting in the paddock, and in the paddock they have the screens where the Dolphins play, and you, in a really nice moment where you saw your name on the screen, and you were very wide-eyed at how surreal it all was. Year 2 of a proper home race for you. Is it any less surreal?
It's still amazing for sure, and I actually did, one of our Williams talk shows with one of the Dolphins players a couple days ago, Bradley
Amazing.
Chubb, and obviously someone I've watched over the last few years play for the Dolphins, and an unbelievable player. So to have that opportunity is super, super cool. I think more so this year is like it's such a nice weekend. I'm home with my family, I'm home with my friends. It feels relaxed, and it's everything I could ask for, home and racing at the same time.
I'm interested that you say it feels relaxed, because I've always wondered with particularly like you and Oscar, because Oscar's obviously from so close to the Melbourne Grand Prix, you're obviously from Fort Lauderdale, just up the road, so you don't think it adds pressure to you being not just at home as in the US, but like our home race? It actually helps you relax, does it?
It's definitely relaxing to be at home with friends and family, but for sure it's a time pressure weekend in the sense that we don't get much time off. We've had a really busy week to this point. Luckily I had Wednesday off, which was nice to sort of recoup some energy. I had a good day going to the gym. I got to spend the afternoon on a boat, and those are my favorite things to do. So I ended up coming into the track today actually feeling pretty fresh and excited.
That's nice. We were chatting to Leah Block earlier in the episode, and she said that you guys had some plans to hang out ahead of the race. And she mentioned to us, like you very quickly mentioned on this podcast, that she's a burger fan. Anybody would think it would run in the American family. Did that potential happen of making a burger together? And what did you guys get up to in New York?
No, we didn't. They kept us so busy.
And he looked towards Connor, his media man there.
On Tuesday, they didn't even let me eat.
Connor?
It was breakfast and dinner.
Connor, let Logan eat,
No
please.
lunch.
I'm sorry they're not looking after you. I will have a word. I really will. And Connor looks like we're throwing him under the bus, but you can respond if you want, Connor.
No, I don't need to respond.
Connor says it wasn't his fault. It was Logan's personal trainer. Was it more PT work than media work?
No, it was more media work. I'm still sticking with Connor's fault here.
Okay, so we're blaming Connor. Good. Moving swiftly on. And we're talking about the build up to this race. How do you manage that? I suppose that balance between. I think Connor's just given him a dig in the side, which is not professional behaviour.
Goes hand in hand with not feeding me for lunch, right?
They think you guys get treated like royalty. They starve you to death and then give you a swift poke in the side when you go off message. It's a real behind-the-scenes insight. Where was I? Talking about Formula One. When you're sort of around here and you're here to have got a job to do, but yet because you're the home guy, everybody wants to speak to you. Have you found that balance, year two, between focusing on your job to do, but also all the craziness that comes with it?
Yeah, last year was a bit different. I stayed at a hotel down in Miami, and my parents are extremely good with the boundaries. No one will be around my house this weekend. It'll just be me, my parents, my trainer. Completely relaxed, and
you're staying at home?
Yeah, this weekend I am.
It's a massive difference.
Which is a first. It's nice, you get to eat breakfast at home, have whatever food, snacks, walk downstairs, grab something out of the fridge if you want it. So it's just like any normal day, which is a huge difference in normal. It feels genuinely amazing. It gives the weekend a different feel.
Golf seems to be a big switch off for you. It seems to be where you spend a lot of time off track.
For the past year, yeah.
Is this a new thing?
Yeah. So I only started last April, May. So we're right only about a year in. So I've got a lot of work to do. But I will say, it is quickly improving.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I'm actually quite happy with the direction it's heading in.
Is there anything else that you must have methods of going to switch off from things? Is there anything else like golf that gaming's a big one for me? Is there anything else that for you that's like, this is my switch off time?
I mean, gaming's fun, but I think again it needs to be with the right group of people. It needs to be with friends.
See, I do it on my own. That's an excuse to get away from people.
Okay, there you go. See, for me it's all about being with my friends. So whether that can be virtually through gaming, that could be by being on the golf course with 3 of my buddies and not looking at my phone for 5 hours. That's a great way to do it. Those are my favorite ways of switching off. So it's just about having good fun people around, and takes all the intensity out of how intense our lives are, which is nice.
Speaking of having some fun, there was a video doing the rounds that I couldn't wait to talk to you about, of you being very good at, as you would call it, soccer, me as a Brit calling it football, doing a load of keepy-ups. Is that a thing? Are you a soccer fan?
No, so I've barely played in my life.
What?
I don't think I'm very good.
Oh, I've got the video. It says on it, No one ever told us Logan Sargeant was good at soccer, and you're what 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at this. Keepy up after keepy up after keepy up.
I wouldn't say it's that good, but it's okay.
No, I can't do 4 of those.
You think that was good?
Yeah, that was really good.
Just a little bit of natural touch in there.
So, but you're not. I was excited this because I thought you were going to be like
terrible.
No. I thought you were going to be like.
You were going to say you thought I was going to be awful.
Quite the opposite. I thought if you get a football at your feet and you're that good, I thought you were going to say, "Oh no, I'm a soccer fan." Like a guy in a bar yesterday.
I am a fan. I enjoy watching. I watch a lot of Premier League, and then obviously now having Inter Miami here, I watch some Inter Miami games. But actually playing the sport, I haven't done much of.
First comment underneath: how do we make Logan go to the World Cup?
I mean, I better start practicing a lot more.
Quite quick. Yeah. Do you need a British team to follow?
I follow Chelsea.
Oh, so a guy in a Miami bar I met yesterday had a Chelsea tattoo. You guys love
really?
Chelsea around here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me it was a bit different. I moved to London when I was young, and it was quite close to Stamford Bridge. Yeah, went and watched a few games as a kid when I first moved to England, and just kind of stuck with me.
I tried to get in an interview with Max Verstappen a long time ago. I tried to get him to watch Leicester City, which is my team, and he genuinely seemed really interested because we've won the Premier League.
Well, that year was incredible.
Yeah. See, even you've heard of them, which before you might not have done heard of Leicester City, isn't it?
Of course I know about. I mean, Jamie Vardy was absolutely having it off that year.
I'm obsessed that I'm sat talking to an American Formula One driver about Jamie Vardy. He's one of my favourite human beings in the entire world.
I can imagine. I mean, he really helped bring you that. I don't know how you guys did it, but you did it.
We did it.
I mean, no one can take that away from you. You guys did it.
And we will always have that.
100%.
It's like you'll always have being an F1 driver. You did that. No matter what you achieve in the rest of your life, you're a Formula One driver.
I mean, you've won the Premier League more recently than some huge teams.
And then Vardy's just helped us to win the championship title as well.
So, oh really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that. There you go.
He scored 20 goals this year in the championship.
Legend.
That's the high point of my weekend. Logan Sargeant calling Jamie Vardy a legend. That's the high point. And staying on celebrities, last year was wild in the paddock for celebrities. Tom Cruise, Vin Diesel. I interviewed I didn't. I interviewed Roger Federer. Like ridiculous names. You must get sort of paraded about and put in front of people as an F1 driver. Have you had any awkward celebrity encounters?
I wouldn't really say awkward. Obviously, it's really cool to see them around. I'm not a huge fan of their bodyguards. They kind of just, bomb through the paddock like they own it. So they're a bit rude. But
bomb through the paddock like they own it.
They're a bit rude, and they take up, whatever space they want.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see the celebs. Yeah.
Some must be well behaved.
Well, most of them are. It's more just the people around them that are, let's say, not completely respectful of a driver's space.
Yeah, and maybe they don't understand the sport and that you guys have got a big old job to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, Greg, who does this podcast, is a big music fan, being the host of a music breakfast show. He seems to think that everybody here listens to Pitbull, Mr. 305, which I'm guessing is not the case. So, I mean, let's clear that up for Greg. Is everybody a Pitbull fan in Miami? Do you have to be?
I don't think so.
Are you? Do you like a bit of Pitbull?
I mean, I like a select few of his songs.
Well put.
But I wouldn't say I'm listening to all of his albums. Time of Our Lives, is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah,
that's a pretty good song.
Knowledge. So what, in that case, what's a Logan Sargeant music taste look like? I don't think we've ever asked you this.
I mean, my music taste is very broad. It goes from, I spent a lot of time in the Bahamas growing up, so I love a bit of reggae. Being from Florida, country's big, so I love country. But then at the same time, I love rap, I love EDM. I mean, I just love music.
Just finally, we should do a Formula One question. I'm not sure I've asked one this weekend. How good is a Williams round here? I remember last year, Alex was like, no, this won't be a great track for us, and it didn't turn out as bad as he thought. What's Williams like round here, and what are you hoping for? Because obviously your point came in the US, so could there be another?
I feel like some good things happened for me in the US. Obviously, I scored in Austin. I had a great qualifying in Vegas. So coming back here, I want to put those two things together and hopefully have a good weekend. I think generally, it's so tight that it can go either way. From 10th down to 20th, it's split by a couple tenths, and it's not easy when it's like that. So we need, it's a sprint weekend, which means hopefully we got everything right off the bat. I believe this track should definitely suit us better than China. So that's
good.
That's a good step in the right direction, and hopefully that means if we do our job and execute a clean weekend, then we'll be in the points.
You've always been really popular on this podcast. Our listeners love you and are properly behind you. And you've got so many people behind you here. I even coming in this morning with some of the fans, people in Logan caps and stuff. So there's a lot of people behind you this weekend.
Yeah, it's good to hear, and thank you for that as well. I'm so happy just to be home. I feel fresh and excited to have a chance to perform in front of the US fans.
Go well, and we hope that for the rest of the day, Connor sat next to you at least manages to feed you.
I do have lunch now, so he did fill a gap today for lunch.
What are you going to give Logan for lunch, please?
Something edible?
Well, on that bombshell, what a way to end. Logan Sargeant, lovely to see you.
Thank you very much.
I tell you what, that's not bad for a preview episode, is it? Not only have we had Max Verstappen and Leah Block, but also Logan Sargeant. We wish Logan the very best in Miami this weekend. That is all we've got time for. YouTube viewers will have noticed I'm doing my closing goodbye from a different location because we've just been told off by a man with a radio for recording by the bay where we were before. So before I get into any more trouble, I'm going to sign off. That is not everything from me here in Miami. I'm going to have a chat to Greg James and Betty Glover after the race for a little bit of a Miami debrief. Join us to that. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and of course subscribe to our new YouTube channel. Back after the Miami Grand Prix for more action here in Miami. From me, Christian Hugill, in downtown Miami, thank you for being with the Fast and the Curious. Speak to you soon.